Good.
Jimmy Stranger, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. I'm glad we finally made this happen because I feel like over the past few months, your name has kind of blown up,
Yeah,
especially
it
here
really
in
has.
NEPA. So
Hmm.
I want to talk to you about everything that's been happening for the past few months, and um, I feel like you got a story to tell. I know that you were with Bill Corcoran
Yeah.
on the stacks. I tried not to listen to that because. Not because I didn't want to. I wanted to. But I wanted to have the opportunity to one day talk to you myself, and I didn't want to have like too much known about you. I wanted to kind of have this organic conversation. So I
Right.
refrained from watching that episode of his. But I did catch the performance he had prior to the show, and I know he made a clip and put it on YouTube and got a ton of views on that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, between that. The voice, your face. I feel like you've got a story to tell. You've got some experiences. You've got some maybe some heartache or just
Yeah.
obstacles that you've overcome in your life, man, you know?
I've got a little bit of it all.
So yeah, so we'll get to where Jimmy Stranger is now. But I wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit on a deeper level. And I can't imagine like Jimmy Stranger is your real name.
No.
Which I love the name. I'm sure there's a reason behind all of that. But tell me a little bit about you know, where you came from, kind of about your upbringing, and I want to get into, you know, where you are today, but I want to kind of get to how Jimmy Stranger became to be.
Seems strange.
Yeah.
Well, I was born and raised in Larksville.
Okay.
Larksville down the road here. I'm in Dallas right now. That's where I live. But I was born and raised there. I grew the regular grown up, good life. My grandfather played music. And that's where the music came in, was because he taught me how to play the mandolin, the fiddle, the guitar, stuff like that. So he had somebody to play with. And then that gets into my name. His name was Stranger Birch. So I just took my first name and my middle name, which was after him, and made Jimmy Stranger. So
His
that's where the
name
name
was
comes from.
his name was Stranger.
His first legitimate name was Stranger.
Wow.
Yeah, and that came about because when he was being born, he was from West Virginia, and he was from a family of 11. And then when he was, I guess, being born, my grandmother kept saying, "A little stranger's coming, a little stranger's coming," to his brothers and sisters. And when he was born, they named him Stranger.
That's
So it's a fun.
amazing.
Well, he didn't like the name personally, but I do. So
I love that.
yeah,
That's a little stranger's coming. I wonder if that
that's
was
what.
like scary to the siblings. Like, oh man, like what's coming? A
Right?
stranger?
But that's the name stuck. They named him Stranger.
I love that.
So, and then my name is James Vincent Stranger. So I just dropped Vincent, and Jimmy Stranger is born.
I like that.
And that's where my name came from. But musically, I was born into a family of musicians. My uncle played the drums. My grandfather was big into bluegrass and stuff. He played in the Black Back Mountain String Band and a lot of local vocal bands. And I can't even name the bands he was in because he was in so many, but that's where that comes from. And then just growing up, started bands of my own, and we took off from there. And here I am now.
So
You
would you
know,
say that you learned how to play from your grandfather?
yeah, I learned how to
Yeah.
play from my grandfather.
That's cool.
Like that's where that all came from. Is that he would sit across from me, and I'd sit across from him, and he would just teach me how to play, and that's how I learned. So
So
and that's
no
where the
no
music,
formal training, just
no
kind
formal,
of that's crazy.
yeah, no sing. I never took voice lessons. I've never like I was in chorus and stuff in school, but no formal training of anything.
Okay.
Just lucky, I guess you could say, that when it comes to music, it's what I do.
Well, I mean, how old were you when you were exposed to that? Because I feel like that has a lot to do with, I
Too.
mean, too.
I
So
was
yeah,
2 years.
that's like my
My
daughter
mother always
is.
tells the story that when I was 2 years old, my grandfather handed me a Gibson mandolin, and everybody's mouth dropped because this mandolin was worth a lot of money. I'm 2 years old. He just handed it to me. And he goes, don't freak out. And then when I took it and I start going like this. And he
Yeah.
goes, he's going to play music. Because I didn't take it or smash on the ground or bang on it. Like I took it and actually was going like this at 2 years old.
It was meant to
So,
be.
yeah, and that's 2 years old. I was exposed to it. And that's where I am today. I don't even really remember it not being in my life, you know. So,
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess when you're exposed at that young. I mean, my daughter actually today's what? Is it the 11th? Yeah, so
yeah,
she's 18 months old. No, is 18? No, 17 months old today. Close to two, kind of ish, year and a half, kind of close, whatever. But
right,
yeah, I guess if you expose and but I can't imagine like giving her an instrument and her being like, okay, yeah, I know what to do with this. Like,
right,
how important it is to kind of when it's around someone at that age, and it just kind of
right.
carries with them through life.
So, and that was really, I owe that to him. And I mean, he would keep, like, not make me practice and stuff, but he'd take me down. He had a music room, we called it. It was like a room next to the garage. And he would just play. We would just practice, practice, practice. And he would try to keep my grandmother out of there because if she came in, I would always like, I'm going to go Grammy
Mm.
because I didn't want to practice no more. And he'd just say, you stay out while I'm teaching them music. So, but it did me well. So,
My grandfather used to call my grandmother a woman. What are you doing, woman? Never like mean, but like
right,
just thinking about it now is, and I just kind of like the story kind of brought that back to my memory. Just like, get out of here,
right,
woman. Leave us alone. Leave the men alone.
right. We're doing our thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as music goes, you started at 2 years old essentially, and
Yeah,
um, I mean, talk about music from then until now. Obviously, it's been a part of your life, and you talked about different bands and you talked about different experiences, but um, I've seen videos of you out performing. I've never had the pleasure to see you perform yet. I know I ran into you at the Steamtown Music Awards
yeah.
this past fall, but I've seen videos, and I mean, it's so much just emotion, I guess you could say, behind the way you sing, and
Right.
um, where does that come from?
That comes, I, that just comes from life experiences. Like even when I play music, I try to feel every song. You know, like when I play it, I want it to be more than just a song. You know, I want everybody else to feel it. So if I feel it, I know maybe somebody else is going to feel it the way I feel it or interpret it their own way. You know, just, but if I could get into your soul, then I know that's, I'm doing something right. You know, it's more than about music. So, but for me, how I got there was just a life of hell, you know. Like when
Really?
I sing about certain songs, like I lived it, I got through it, or I've been there and I've seen that, and that's where a lot of that emotion comes from.
Can you talk about some of those experiences? Because I feel like it plays a huge factor into your music,
Oh, it does.
into who you are as a person. I mean, that song, I believe it's called 16 Ounces. Is that the
Yes.
name of the song? That song you performed on Bill's show, which
Yeah.
is again, it's available on YouTube. I would encourage anyone to go check that out. Really well done. And
Thank you.
I mean, I can only imagine what that song itself is about. And I always say to musicians, sometimes they don't always want to talk about what their songs are about because they want to kind
Yeah.
of leave it open for interpretation and let the listener kind of apply it to, their life however they
Right.
see fit. But I feel like that song, like, I mean, just the lyrically itself, I mean, it definitely tells a story of
Yeah.
some some stuff.
Well, how that song came about, and I tell the story of this song because and people can still interpret it their own way, but my way and why I wrote it was because when I was 19 years old, I just got a job at Tryon, and it was around Memorial Day weekend. And I was going to work that night. This was my first week of work. And I went to work that night, and I'm working, I'm picking whatever the hell they had me picking hooks at the time. And my boss comes over and tells me that there's somebody outside, the cops are outside, they want to talk to me. So I go and I'm like, whatever, you know, I smoke by the dumpster. If somebody's stealing stuff from the dumpster, I'll go and see what's up. When I get outside, it's two cops in suits. Right then, I knew immediately that this wasn't about a dumpster. And they come over to me and they go, "Is your name James Burge?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's me. My name is James Burge." And they said, is Carrie Martin your girlfriend? And Carrie Martin was my girlfriend at the time. And the next thing out of her mouth was she was murdered. And I just stopped and I froze. And like, I didn't want to believe it. It didn't seem real. Like, what was going on right here? Like, are you serious? And all I can remember really about that is just going numb. Then it was just going through emotions. And that's where that song came in. And that's a whole, like, I just told you what happened to Carrie.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks later, how that song came about is I was sitting home and I'm playing and just doodling on my guitar. And my buddy walked in the house and he was carrying a 16-ounce case of those Budweisers. They just came out with the metal cans, and they were the 16-ounce metal cans. And he goes, "Dude, we're gonna drink this away tonight." And I said, 16 ounces, 24 bottles ain't enough for me. And it just rolled from there. And I took the experience of what I was feeling and what I was going through, and that's where that song came from. Like it's 16 ounces, 24 bottles. It's just I can't get over that memory. Like the memories hurt now. Like it's not happy memories. Even the happy memories hurt. So
Yeah,
that's
I
where that
mean,
song came in.
I can't, I mean, your girlfriend was murdered. Like
Yes,
it was
right,
that that's like unbelievable.
right. Like that in itself. And I to this day, nobody knows why. There's a million stories why these. Because I lived in the same music room that my grandfather had because my dad owned the house. I went to work that night. My dad stayed up the main house. My girlfriend and me lived down back. She was up the house and she said goodnight to my grandmother, went down to go to bed. I called the house at like 1 o'clock on break to talk to her. Nobody answers. Then my grandmother answered the phone. My grandma's like, "Yeah, I'll go check on her." My grandma goes down to the music room and opens the door. And the next thing I know, she hangs up the phone. I'm like, "Well, that's weird." So I call back. She tells me everything's all right and that Carrie was sleeping. And the next thing I knew, I was talking to the cops at 4 in the morning. So my grandmother, God rest her soul, kind of didn't let me know what was going on at that time when I was at work. So, and it was just a whirlwind. Like, to this day, nobody knows. It's just crazy. Like, I can't
I,
find the words to explain why it happened.
yeah, I mean, geez, I don't even know. I'm sorry that happened. Like I'm kind of speechless as far as like how you even react to that. Like your girlfriend was murdered. I mean,
You
it's
die
one
and stuff.
thing. Yeah, it's one thing if you find out from someone like a family member like, oh, so and so passed away, but like
Right,
this is a different level. Like this is like intent, uh,
right.
which is crazy. I mean, like, and no one knows why.
Nope. It's just there's mad that they came for drug money. They were just there to rob. They were there to rob for whatever they could get. And she just happened to be there. Wrong place, wrong time. But it was her house. So to say wrong place, wrong time really isn't the same thing.
Right.
And to make matters crazier, it's 2 weeks after that, my dad laid on the kitchen floor and died of a massive heart attack. So not only did I lose my girlfriend at that time, I lost my father, who was my rock. My dad going through all that was like my rock. He was when I leaned on. Came home from work. It was my grandmother's birthday, June 14th. He said, "We got to sign a card for your grandmother," because he brought one home from work and that he got. So I signed it. Later on, he asked her, he was eating ice cream and start coughing real heavy. He laid on the floor and he died. It just all in that one in 2019 was just crazy, crazy 2 weeks, not even a year. Just those 2 weeks were just insane.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, wow.
So,
Girlfriend's murdered, and then your own father
right,
passes away. Two
right.
weeks. Wow. And I mean, like, how did you react to that?
I, I, I dove into the darkest depression probably yet. That's why I'm happy to be on your podcast right now at 30. How old am I? 38 years old. Because for years, I just looked for every which way to numb, to get away from it. I wasn't who I should have been. I didn't handle it the right ways. I tried just about anything to get through it, and
Of
lucky
course,
I
I mean,
survived.
yeah, but I mean, what's the right way to handle all that? I mean,
There is no wrong or right way, but you just, I don't know.
it's like it, I'm happy you're here too. Let's start there, right? But I mean, I can't imagine, uh, going through that. I mean, I had a run of like an 8 month period where I lost um both my grandmothers, my best friend's dad, and then my own father. And my father passed on June 13th. So it's you shared not a shared date, but you said June 14th was your father.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I don't know, like I don't know. Unfortunately, I never went down a dark road. I don't know why. I mean, because it's easy to, right?
very, very easy.
It's all you want to do is not be. You want to remove yourself from reality, and the easiest way to do that is to you know
Um,
alter it,
self-medicate.
alter
Yeah,
it. Yeah, alter that reality. Booze, drugs, whatever it might be,
right.
man. So I mean, you definitely can't be faulted for that. I mean, was it a long period of time where you kind of went through this depression or
It
this
was
self-medication?
probably a good 13 years till
13
I
years.
got right in the head, till when I realized I had to wake up. I was never like how I always put it to everybody. I was never suicidal, but I didn't care if I lived or died. Like
Right.
tomorrow, if it came, it came. If it didn't, oh well. But then finally, after all them years, like I decided to get mental help and all that kind of stuff. And slowly but surely, I came out on top, I could say. So, but luckily I woke up in time, like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that lifestyle for too long is, I mean, we know how that ends,
right.
you know.
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
No, I mean, I can't imagine. It just,
And what's crazy is all this time when that was going on, I was still playing in bands and I was still playing music, but I wasn't who I could be because I was always hindered by alcohol or drugs, that I wasn't, as good as I could be. I was just there. And even that was good enough, but it wasn't who I am now, So I like stayed around, but I never panned out to who I am panning out to be now.
yeah.
This should have happened a lot earlier.
To be
I just,
fair, though, to be fair, I feel like when, people who are creative, sometimes being in an alternate reality, this could be a good thing.
right.
Not in your
Oh,
case,
right.
obviously, but I mean, we've got some great music out of the
All
70s
right.
and 60s from you know,
You
but
get a lot of good music from Heartache and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
yeah, but
And that comes back into what you asked earlier. There's like all the emotion I put into my music is just all the emotion I've been through in life, and I just put that towards my music.
we talked about 16 ounces and where that song came from. The song itself, what I mean, what in the song itself, what is it about? I mean, what do you talk about? I mean, obviously the 16 ounces and 24 bottles, ain't enough, but I mean, the song itself, are you talking to yourself in that song? Are you singing to somebody in particular or
Well, each verse is different. Like the first verse is you're really just talking to your head. You're just trying to understand what you've been through, going it through your head. Like admitting, like I hit rock bottom, just trying to admit to yourself what you've been through. And then it goes into the chorus. The second verse, you're talking to a friend, and it's more or less that he doesn't understand. He's saying, "You can drink this, you'll feel fine, everything will be great." Da 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 da. And that's not true in your mind either. So it goes back into the chorus. And the last verse is kind of very sad because he just, in my mind, I couldn't take it anymore. So he drinks himself to the point where he's driving home one night and their song came on the radio, this last verse. And he looks in the rear view and he sees the red and blues and he decides that this tonight's it. I'm running, I'm going. And how I end the song is that he dies in the car accident. Is really how it ends. It's like they're not going to get me. No, this not this time. So it's kind of just a song about like that. Like I don't know if that makes sense
yeah,
the way I
for
just
sure.
explained it, but like how he just can't get through it. And towards the end, you find out that he didn't make it. Like he didn't get through it because at the time I didn't see myself get through it.
Right.
So that last verse when he says, they're not going to get me. No, not this time. That means he's had it.
Yeah.
And then the car he gets into an accident and there's a song.
Yeah. Do
And
you
so
have
like
yeah, do you have other original songs?
I do.
Yeah.
I have one called Blind, which is kind of a love Southern rock or like ballad. And then I have one called No Cigarettes that I wrote on like a whim because I had no cigarettes. So I sat at the time, this was years ago, I was living in Hilltop Apartments. I sat on the stoop and I wrote this song, No Cigarettes, so somebody would hear me. And I got a cigarette. And so it stuck. So I wrote that one. And then there's a bunch of other ones I have that I'm working on. So, but 16 ounces is really sticking out right now. So that one I'm kind of working. I'm trying to get in the studio in January and actually getting that out like on a regular, just not just me sitting somewhere playing it, like an actual
Right.
recording of it.
Yeah, because that's not,
So
you don't have any music available right now that's
no,
streaming,
not at the
correct?
moment. No.
You got to get on that.
Yeah, that's my next thing in January. I'm going to the studio where we're jumping on the studio thing and we're gonna go from there. Because right now all I really do is have Facebook and I beat the feet. You know what I mean? I play
Sure,
everywhere
man.
and anywhere it'll have me. So
Well,
and that's what
yeah, like I said, this the tail end of this year, well, the last half this year, I guess you could say. I mean, Jimmy Stranger blew up. I don't know if that was, the appearance on Bill's show. He does a great job with
that's
podcast, and I don't know if it's just like the whole timing of everything. Do you kind of feel that way? Like, Jimmy Stranger's kind of made a name for himself around here this past year?
I want to say I do. I want to, but and also the same way I haven't made big enough name as I want to. You know, there's a lot that I want to accomplish still, even just locally. But I do think that I went from not being somebody to now I'm some. When people notice me, it's pretty nifty. Like some guy came up to me the other day and called me. He goes, "Are you John Strange?" But I knew immediately who he was
Right.
talking about because it's strange. So I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm Jimmy Stranger." So, and it's kind of neat when that happens. You know, like people pick me out in the crowd. So, but
Well,
yeah, and that last half of this year, it just keeps getting better and better. You know, so I just want to
well,
keep getting better. You know,
yeah,
so
I remember seeing your name all over, like I said, Bill Show, the Steamtown Awards. Did you win an award that year?
I did. I won Best Male Vocalist.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I won the People's Choice, and I got the little trophy. So
Beautiful. Um, I remember I was driving past Plains Pub on my way home from work, and I
yeah,
saw your name on the little they have like some kind of like thing on the outside, like a
yeah,
I'm like Jimmy Stranger. Like, I can't get this guy won't stop it popping up here.
that was just there Friday night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so but that's what I do. I just play everywhere and everywhere that'll have me from here. Like this week, I'm going from Creekside and Tunkhannock to New Angola on Sunday. So between Tunkhannock and New Angola, and then Thursday I'm at Litsy's, and Friday I don't even know. I'm always somewhere. You know,
Now, have you always been this active, or has this year been kind of your busiest yet?
this is my busiest yet.
Yeah.
Like this, but probably the busiest I've been in my whole life because I've always been active. Even my band would play like one Friday, maybe every Friday out of the month. Not like I play now. Like this is strictly what I do. Did usually play like Wednesday to Sunday.
Wow. That's a grind, I imagine.
Mhm. I love it.
But you love it, right? Yeah.
It's a grind I love.
Yeah. So it's not really a grind because you love it. Um, where do you think you would be without music? Um, had you experienced what you've experienced?
Going through everything I've been, I probably did.
Yeah.
This is probably as honest as I could be with you because music gave me a way to, even when I was just alone and I'd sit around and I'd sing a song and it wouldn't make any sense, but I was getting my feelings out
Hmm.
and I would just cry and just sing about whatever what I was feeling. And it wasn't a song, it was just me venting. And to look back on that, and if I wasn't able to do that, I don't know if I'd be here or not, you know, because fighting demons is hard and they don't tell you that, you know, like when you get that depressiveness and that unworthy feeling and you know, music got me through a lot of dark times.
Yeah. Well, that's why I ask, because music is such a special thing. I mean, can you imagine if it never existed for anyone?
Right.
Like even
You
just to
know,
consume, that'd be
like music
wild.
is what I mean, everybody has a song they can relate to, or everybody, even the holidays, it's about the music, like
Yeah,
we're in the Christmas season, but you hear those Christmas songs and it makes you feel even more spiritual or whatever with Christmas. So,
you're right, man. Oh, my wife and my kids call me a Grinch. I don't know if you could see above me here. My wife likes to
yeah, it's the
decorate,
Green Street.
she likes to decorate around the house. But yeah, the music definitely, gets you into the spirit.
Right,
But yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful thing and such a therapeutic thing, especially for, someone like you who performs it. And I mean,
right,
I remember when the pandemic hit and musicians couldn't perform out. I was like so worried about their mental health because like, yeah, you can perform at home or you can, write and record at home, no big deal. But I think getting those songs out in front of people and in people's ears and kind of,
right,
testing the waters, so to speak, with an audience, like is
right.
definitely part of all of the whole thing. So, um, yeah, it's just a cool thing, music. Do you know where you're gonna record?
Actually, not at the moment.
Okay.
So I just know it's gonna be in January, and these are people that are gonna help me out. So I have no idea, where it's gonna be or who's doing it yet. So
Also, they're just gonna tell you to show up, and you're gonna show up and kill it.
basically,
Nice.
hopefully, that's what's gonna happen.
Do you have a like, 3 or 4 songs you're ready to do, or are you just gonna kind of focus on 16 ounces or
Well, I have a couple I could do, mostly focused on 16 ounces, and then see where it goes from there. If I
okay.
have an opportunity to do more, I could do more because there's other songs that like I do that are covers, but I do them my own way. So probably throw them on there. So we'll see what happens.
Now when you perform out, do you is it a lot of covers?
All covers,
All covers.
all covers.
Now do you sneak your own in there and then kind of
Yeah,
check out people's response?
once in a while, yeah. I'll sneak my own in there. Like I just been starting to do that with that blind song I was talking about. Like that, I start playing a little bit more, and people like it. See, I wrote it when I was 13. To me, it sounds like a 13-year-old kid wrote it, but I get good feedback on it. So, and that's what I do. 16 ounces. That's another one. And cigarettes. My no cigarette song. I throw that out there. So I do throw my own out there, but I'm majority like I play other people's music.
Yeah.
And I don't even say that. I don't like saying I play other people's music because I play their music, but I play it my way.
Okay.
So I put my own spin on everything. It's not exactly like it sounds on their record.
Sure.
So, but if you want to make money, you got to play other people's music till I become
Yeah.
somebody,
Unfortunately, that's the case, right? I mean,
right?
I know that like 15, 20 years ago, there was guys making a living, and I'm sure there are today too, like, but making a good living being in cover bands.
Right.
And no one wanted to do the whole original thing because there was no money,
There's no money and
you
nobody
know?
goes to see an original. They never heard a song. They want to hear the songs they know,
I know.
and that's how I was brought up. Like my uncle was in a cover band, my grandfather, like they were basically a cover band. So you want to make money in music, you play covers. So that's where I fell into. So
A lot of
the
people,
writing and
yeah, a lot of guys do that, and guys and girls do that, but like, was it important for you to do your own, or did that just kind of happen by accident?
it just kind of happened really. Like when I was younger, me and my one buddy would sit down, and he was a really good lyricist. So he would write words, and I would write chords and like put the melodies to it and stuff. So that's what I got into. So I just kind of fell into it. Like I always would find a song instead of writing my own songs. What I would do is I'd find a song I could relate to, learn it, and play the hell out.
Hmm.
So that's what I would do instead of writing my own. I'd be like, oh, I could really relate to say this song, and I
Right.
would play this song. So, but then I got into the writing stuff, and to this day, I'm not a really good lyricist. I'm good putting melodies to anything.
Okay.
So I'm more little by little am I learning how to write my own music and stuff like that.
I wonder if your life experience has kind of played, I mean, I imagine it played a huge factor into, your writing too, like
Right.
almost forced you to kind of write your own stuff. Like,
Mm.
how do you get that out? I mean, how do you get those, emotions out? I
Um,
mean, you're right about it.
right. That's kind of put me in. That's where a lot of my better songs came from, was going through that. And that's what's hard, is because when I do write, I always want to write sad, sappy, emotional songs. I don't know how to write happy songs. Like
I don't know how people do it.
I don't either.
I think, I mean, I say this a lot on the show. You know, I don't know how musicians write about being happy. I can't write anything, right? But I imagine if I had to write, I'd have to be in a bad place. I'd have to be like just down and out and just like, you know,
Right.
yeah,
Going through it.
going through it. Yeah, I mean, I think the guy who does it the best is probably the guy from Blue October. He's sober now, but like his early career, I mean, he made a living off of like writing
Hating it.
about, yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. And it's great music. And I wouldn't say he was better in
Right.
those moments. It's just different because I love the stuff that they do today, but I don't know how he does that. I can't imagine writing about, being happy. Like that sounds kind of like, you're an asshole.
Right. Like, hey, I'm happy today.
Yeah.
I just I'm not there yet. But we'll hopefully.
Yeah. It's funny too, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but I feel, when your name blew up, it was kind of around the same time that Jelly Roll was kind
Yeah.
of this big thing. And you kind of have this like Jelly Roll persona, and you got some tattoos on your face,
Yeah.
and I can't see the rest of your body, but I imagine you're probably tattooed elsewhere if you
Everywhere. Like,
yeah,
oh,
okay.
but
Yeah. So I mean, so it was funny, like Jimmy Stranger's blowing up and Jelly Roll's blowing up, and they're kind of similar in their own way. And it was,
right.
I hope you don't take offense to that, but
Absolutely not.
yeah.
Like in the beginning, it was really awesome to be compared to Jelly Roll, and then I make a joke now that like he's living my life because he's the one making millions.
Yeah.
I'm just this local guy, but we do run parallel, except like we do look a lot similar, and then we play a lot of stuff. But I've always been country, like I've always been country rock, where he comes from rap, and kind of
Yeah.
just like converted to Nashville, kind of just claimed it.
Hmm.
And it's just like I accept that. I love Joey. I love what he's doing. I love his. I play his music. So
Yeah. Well, I'll never
so
forget. I was meeting with the some of the reps from 98.5 KRZ. Well, it's Odyssey. Their radio group. Odyssey owns KRZ, Froggy 101, and some other stations. And they were doing their guitars and stars, and they were in my office, and they're like, "Hey, we want to get shirts done." I work for Axelrad Screen Printing full time in the day. They're in my office, and they're like, "Yeah, we're doing our guitars and stars with Froggy 101. Want to get some shirts done." I said, "Who you bringing to town?" And they're like, "Oh, this person, and Jelly Roll." And I'm like, "Jelly Roll? Like, who's this guy?" They're like, "Oh, he's got this song. It's called this." So and I played it. I'm like, "Okay, this is not bad." And sure as shit, a week later, he's on Joe Rogan. And now I'm like, okay, well, now he's on my radar. I'm a huge Rogan fan.
right,
Um, so now he's on my radar. And then again, like, it just blew up, I feel like.
right,
But yeah, definitely some similar. The NEPA's Jelly Roll.
yeah. That's what a lot of people say.
I like
But
that.
it also worked for me that when he dropped "Save Me," I kind of just took it and ran with it myself because I could sing it pretty much just like not just like him, but as good as
Pretty close,
on
yeah.
those lines. So that kind of helped me stand out too, because I could sing "Jelly Roll Save Me" when everybody loved it. So
Right.
here's this guy from here.
Yeah.
So but yeah, the comparisons to Jelly Roll don't bother me at all. I'm flattered by them. Like
Yeah. I wouldn't imagine they would, but you never know, right?
right. A lot
I,
of people are different.
yeah, I always like to, especially for local artists. I always if I hear it sounds like, insert national act here. I'm always hesitant to say who
Right,
I think it sounds like just because imagine if I'm like, "Oh, you sound like I don't know, we'll say Blue October just because we just talked about them. You sound like Blue October, and that band you just said you sound like Blue October, they hate that band.
right.
You imagine that? Like, oh, you sound like this
And you're
band.
like,
Like,
oh,
I hate that band. What? I don't want to sound like that band. It hasn't
right,
happened. Well, I shouldn't say it hasn't happened yet. It happened one time. I think it was I can't think of the band's name now, but I said they sound like the Wonder Years, and Sean Flynn was not thrilled. wasn't angry, but not thrilled.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
But
Hey, it happens. It happens. So they really don't bother me. I
yeah.
just,
Well, the tattoos. Uh, getting tattooed on one's face is not extremely common. I
no.
imagine the tattoos you have on your face are important or, or,
Yeah.
or some, very important to you. Is that accurate?
Yes, very accurate. Like to believe, this is what this says, like right above my eye,
Is that this
is
believe?
that,
Okay.
yeah, that says believe. But that came later after all my tattoos to believe, to always believe. That's what me and my mom say to each other. It's kind of like our thing, just believe because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You never know what you can make it through or what you get. Just believe. So that makes sense to us. So that's why, and then I put it there so I can always see it.
Yeah.
When I look in the mirror, it's always there. And then the star over here, that just became, it was just something I wanted to be a musician and I wanted to prove that I could put a tattoo on my face and I'm going to make it. That's because who else is going to hire me now?
Yeah.
But that's how that came about. So, and then the rest of them were just like were just ideas, late night ideas, or just feeling a certain type of way and needing some ink therapy, like that kind of deal. And I made sure I got a tattoo freaking everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's amazing that you have believe tattooed on your head. When I first met my wife, we weren't dating at the time. Um, I knew who she was, and I was with the Weekender, and so I knew a lot of I worked with a lot of tattoo shops and things like that. And she had asked me where she should get a tattoo at, and so I told her it was a local place in Wilkes-Barre, and she got like on her hip, she got the word believe and had little like I think there was wings on it. I should probably know that she's my wife, but yeah, it just said believe. And the reason she
right,
got that, I think she got it 2007 or 2008. Probably 2008, because that's when we started like talking. Her mother had a brain aneurysm in 2006, and she she made it through. She's still alive to this day. And typically, people who have
right,
brain aneurysms um, either don't make it through or they're very, very altered mentally. And her mom made it through, and she just felt like she that whole
awesome,
time she just had to believe that
right.
things
That's
would
all
be
you could
okay.
do.
Yeah, that's so
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's so it's one of those things that's so important to um no matter what it is, just to if it gets you through it, if it's important to you, or you find solace in it, or whatever it might be, like how important if you have that with you, whether it's a tattoo or just whatever, maybe it's a necklace or whatever, like
Right,
it's cool how things like that can help people along
right.
the way.
They help you. They help you spiritually, mentally, just little thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever had anything like that. I mean, I do have I have a thumbprint of my dad's thumbprint. It's like a little pendant on a necklace that I've been wearing since he passed. Um, I wouldn't say it's subconsciously that I know he's with me all the time, but I don't think I've ever like, you know, really thought about it like, oh, I'm gonna wear this so he's always with me.
Right,
Um, it's weird to say that out loud now.
right.
So I've worn it ever since.
You just wear it.
Well, it's never left me. Um, so saying that loud kind of seems weird because I mean, I guess in a way, um, yeah, he's always with me, but I never really like
Right.
made it a point to think
That
like that.
wasn't the reason you were wearing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but life's strange, man.
right,
Um, it's amazing what humans can go through, right? Like what we can
right.
endure.
Persevere.
Persevere. Like, I mean, not everyone has a story like you, right? Like, girlfriend murdered, 2 weeks later, your father passes. Like,
Right.
how have you been able to positively like help others, whether it be through your music or maybe it's just being someone that people can talk to, um, that you've noticed? Like, have you been able to do that? Because I feel like that's like something that I don't know you well, right? And we just
Right.
this is the first time we've spoken really, but I feel like you're definitely someone that like would be a shoulder to cry on or
Right.
just be there for anybody.
Right. And I know personally if I helped anybody? No, but I've listened to people, and I talk, and if my advice or me in general helped them, I'm glad. And now that I'm out there, like in the spotlight, people are noticing me and stuff. Like I hope I could be like a something somebody could look up to and say, you know what, he was through hell. He's still here and he's still doing this, and something, to give him just not to give up.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times in my life I could have gave up and I didn't, and so here I am today, and things just are getting better and better. And who knows where they're going to go? But if I could be of something somebody could look up to, I'm glad. Do I know that? Like nobody's ever told me that, but hopefully,
I
hopefully,
think maybe once, the more you share your story, I mean, I think that'll definitely,
right.
you know, happen. Not that that's your goal, right? But
No, that was never my goal. Like my story, I don't really ever talk about it.
no,
Like the first time I think I've ever talked about it was on the problem when I was talking to Bill. Like that was the first time I've ever brought it out publicly,
yeah,
and now I'll talk about it, but it was never something I wanted to base my life on. Like this is not why I do this, and I'm not using it as like, oh, look what I've been through.
right,
It's just something I've been through.
yeah.
To me, that was something I lived through. And what I do musically is because I love it, and they're a big part of it. My dad was, Gary was, they were a big part of what I did. And, to tell them my story about that, yeah, it's good to get it out, so people know. So like you said, maybe if somebody hears that and they can relate to that. So
Mhm. So who in your life is important now? I mean, obviously, you lost your dad. Gary was tragically taken. Um, Grandfather obviously was important to you, no
right.
longer around. Who makes you smile these days?
And smile nowadays would be my girlfriend Joy. She's over there on the couch. But she does so much for me, and like I met her in 2018 and she changed my life a lot too, for the good. And
They
she
do
got me
that.
disciplined when
They
it
do
came to
that.
music. She got me disciplined where she helps me get my shows. She does the booking where I it was always too much for me to keep in line. She keeps me for the kind of guy I am. She keeps me in line. You know what I mean? She puts up my shit. Because I'm not perfect,
None of
but
us are.
she does. She makes me smile every day, and sometimes she makes me crazy, but mostly
Well,
smile.
that's part of their
And
jobs.
right,
Part of
and my
their job.
mother.
Good.
I have to say my mom. I love it. My mom is my light. So my mom always makes me happy.
Yeah.
But between the both of them, it's definitely enjoying my mother.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, like, where we would be without them.
Right, right,
Both the girlfriends, wives, mothers. I mean, who would we be without them?
right. They both of them kept me in line. Still do, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing. I remember I was single for the longest time, never looking for a girlfriend, just having a good time, never having to, answer to anybody. So I look back now, and if I didn't meet my wife at the time we did, not that I was gonna get in trouble, but like I don't know, it was just good timing, and she definitely, I wouldn't say calmed me down because she was 21, I was 25, so she just, started to hit the going out and hanging out and partying and
right,
stuff like that. So, and I wasn't ready to calm down just yet, but she kept me in line in different ways. But
right. That's how Joy was for me. She came in and she slowed my party ways down, like because I was wild, and she held on for a long time. And God bless her soul, she did.
so
So
she came in when you were kind of still like,
yeah, she came in like semi towards the end. Like we became friends in 2018, from going to the same bar. And then we got together in 2021. We were just friends for years. But she was always there. She was always worried about me, always made sure, like, like I wasn't doing too much because I would do too much of anything, like too much alcohol.
Yeah.
I was always to excess. So, but she saved me, for how many times I don't know what she did.
Yeah.
Now she puts up with me and makes sure that Jimmy Stranger does what he's supposed to do.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if her and I maybe just know each other's names or whatever. Because I was talking, or I think she just said, "Oh, this is Joy."
Yeah,
But it was from your page. I'm like, I don't like. Do I know this person? Or I don't know if you're just just letting me know that she was speaking on your behalf.
she does. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's funny.
it's weird. She does a lot for me for that, to speaking on my behalf, like and stuff like that. Just because I'm odd. I have anxiety, like, and to the point where like I don't call and order pizza. Like, it's weird. Like for me to sit here and talk to you, this is a big deal for me. Like it might not seem it, but it's a big deal.
Well, at
I'm
least you're across a computer. I mean, I would imagine sitting down with Bill was probably like real weird.
right. Yeah, I sweated my whole time there too.
Yeah.
But it's just odd. I'm everything a musician shouldn't be. Like I'm introvert. I'm backward. Like when you see me play on stage, I'm not going to come off that stage and be a chatty cat. I'm going to come off.
Right.
I'm going to go sit over here. I'm going to drink my soda and smoke a cigarette. Like I'm everything a musician backwards. No, I'm trying.
Are you though? But are you though? Seriously, let's think about like I think maybe musicians when they're on a stage, they become someone they're not, right? But oftentimes, and a lot of musicians I think are like this, that when they're off stage, they don't want to, they're not like very like, social or,
Right.
some are germaphobes and it's weird like to think about that, right? Or a
Sure,
germaphobe
sure.
when you're playing in front of, thousands of people. Um, I think there's a like I think musicians and creative people and people who have access to that side of their brain, I think it's more common than not to have those tendencies,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I've
What do
heard
I
that
know?
before too.
What do I know?
Yeah, but I've heard that before. Like if you're so creative, like you're also odd. You're not duck, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah. What I
So
would give to be able to play an instrument. People always say it's never too late, but it's too late for me. 41 years old. Dude, I
never
got
too
two.
late.
I got two. No, see, you're wrong. I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong. I'm 41 years old. I've got two kids, married, full-time job. I do this as like this is for me, this is what you do. Like this is my music form of
Right.
what you do. I just don't have time. There's no time. There's
But that to me sounds like an excuse because you have to make
ah
time.
oh well listen, if I'm gonna do anything, it's I need to get on a fucking treadmill or exercise bike or
Me
do
too.
something like that.
Me
It's
too.
not gonna be a guitar. I'm telling you that right now.
Like, when people tell you look like Jelly Roll, that isn't always a good thing.
I wasn't referring to like that.
I know. I'm just saying.
Oh man. But yeah, you're right. It is excuse. But I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. I talk about this a lot too. Like I think about, I you work all day. I come home, dinner with the family. We do bedtime, read books to the kid, um, put the baby down to bed. And when I'm not doing this, like I genuinely enjoy sitting on the couch, either watching dumb shit on TV, decompressing from the day with my wife, or her and I talk about how our day was, what obstacles we may have had to overcome at work,
Right.
the future of our children, things like that. I genuinely love that.
Right.
Could I be spending it doing other things? Yes, but I think that's also an important part of what keeps us
The best answer I've ever heard.
yeah, it keeps us a good unit, and I think that's
Right.
super important. I love it. I genuinely love that. So no, Jimmy Stranger, I will not learn the guitar. I'm gonna sit down and talk to my wife. How
That's
dare
a,
how dare you try and
you
tell me
shut me right
otherwise?
up.
How dare you, Jimmy Stranger?
That's a good
I don't know,
answer.
man. Yeah, no, I say it a lot. You know, again, maybe I can wake up and work out and exercise, but the way my daughter is right now, she could be up at 5, she could be up
Right,
at 7, she could be up at 7:30. Today she woke up at 8. And I just can't figure her out. I don't know what's
right.
going on. So it's hard to, be
Find a
a
time.
consistent schedule. So, but enough about me and my children and my lack of sleep and lack of exercise. 2024, Jimmy Stranger. We're talking about studio time. We're talking about, you know, obviously we want to build off of the momentum that you've created this year.
Yes.
What are we looking at from Jimmy Stranger in 2024 outside of the recording? Any
So
big plans, big goals, aspirations?
take this as far as I could take it.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
Let's manifest it now. Let's
I
talk
just
about it now and make it happen.
I want to take Jimmy Stranger to next level. I'm already pretty well known. I want to be better well known. I want just to keep this going. I don't even know. Like stop me. Where do I want to go in 2024? Sky's the limit. You know, I just want to take and work on what I already built, make it bigger. Hopefully going in the studio and putting out a CD makes that better, and get more people out to shows, and different venues, and different. Hopefully, be invited in the summer to different festivals to play at because I know a lot of musicians and they have them. And maybe hey, they'll call me up and stuff like that. Now, the sky's the limit for 2024 right now.
Yeah, I think having some music that people can consume on, streaming services, and if you choose to put it on CD, that's great too.
Right.
But if you can get that out there for people to like, oh, I heard just Jimmy Stranger guy, let me check him out. I mean, that's going to be huge, I think, for you.
That's the biggest thing right now is probably getting stuff out there, even on Spotify or wherever, Amazon Music, anywhere, just so they have something to listen to. It's more than
Yeah,
just a name or more than just a video on Facebook. Because even videos, I always say they don't do me justice. You got to hear me live
yeah.
because it's totally different, than hearing me in a video. So that studio and doing all that's probably the biggest thing for 2024. Getting everywhere.
I think that'll help a
I
lot.
get songs out there that could go anywhere.
Now, with that being said, too, like, are you gonna, because you just said how important it is to hear you live. Maybe you've already thought about this. Maybe if you haven't, maybe it's something to consider. Having a polished version of 16 ounces, but then maybe also have it just very raw, a recording of it raw.
Right. It's a good idea.
Just a thought.
I mean, because raw, it's so good raw because it's so me. It's so you're hearing everything from me. It's not dubbed. It's nothing. There's nothing there. Nothing, no producing whatsoever. It's just how it's coming at me.
Hmm.
So there'll always be that one raw version. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you get that done, and I think that's gonna be huge for you.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's really where 2024 I want it to go. Is just with
Just
getting my
keep
music out there.
just keep pushing. Yeah. Just
Yeah, to keep pushing and to take it as far as I could go. To, to live my dreams. Maybe I could aspire to open up for Jelly Roll or maybe something like that.
you gotta believe.
Yeah, you gotta believe.
Well, it's awesome. I think we could probably end it on that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Jimmy Stranger in 2024. It
Thank
is
you.
December 11th, so we're about end of the year here.
You're
This will probably come out end of this week. With that being said, can do you have shows lined up the rest of this year that people like? So like post 12/15. So this drops on 12/15. Do you have dates lined up for this year that you could share with the people?
well, I sure do.
Sure you do. You're a busy man. Because I think people need to see you. People need to.
Come out and check out what the fuss is about.
Exactly.
But 12:15. Yeah, 12:15. I'm actually at Swizzle Sticks in Edwardsville doing their Christmas party.
Okay.
And then 12:16, I'm at the American Legion in Kingston
Okay.
from 8 to 12 a.m. 12:17, I'm at Wheels Bar and Grill in New Angola from 2:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
They do like a Sunday fun day thing.
Right.
And then 12:20, I'm at American Legion in Larksville at 7. 12:22, Slocum Street Sports Bar in Swartsville at 8.
Good place.
12:23, I'm at Three Guys in Dallas at 7.
Also good place.
12:27, I'm at Three Guys in Edwardsville at 6. 12:28, I'm at Litzy's in Avoca at 9:30. 12:29, I'm at the FOP in Hanover at 7:30. And 12:30, I'm at Fiddler's Green in Larksville at 9. So that's
That
the
place
end of
is
the year.
that place is still open? Fiddler's on the Green?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's still open.
I haven't heard of that place in years. I mean, when I got out of media, I kind of lost touch with some of the venues that are around. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
all great places, especially Slocum Street. That's a great place.
Yeah, they just added a terrace. They never had it. They call it the terrace, but they have it in the back, and it's pretty
Yeah.
wicked. And they have heat out there and stuff.
I
So
was
even if
out there. Yeah, I was out there before they did that. It was a nice little patio area, but yeah,
yeah,
they did I saw that on Facebook. They did a really great job. And the Three Guys locations, all those are great spots too. So
right.
very cool.
But
Very
and
cool.
if
Well,
you want to check anything else out, just check me out on Facebook on Jimmy Stranger Music, and that's where all my shows are, and there's videos there and everything else. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jimmy, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you outside of saying
that's
just hi at the Steamtown Awards at
in
the V
passing.
Spot.
Yeah,
You gotta get your. Have you played the V Spot yet?
not yet. I did
Nah,
an open mic there once, and then we're gonna work it in. We're gonna talk to them, see what happens.
I'm sure we can. I'm very good friends with the owner. We need a night of Jimmy Stranger at the V
That'd be
Spot.
awesome. That'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
we definitely make that happen in 2024 too.
Definitely.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Big plans for 2024.
Good plan.
To the top. We're gonna believe.
We are gonna believe.
Sweet man. Well, again, it was a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure talking about those things isn't always easy. It's one of the most terrible things and experiences of your life, right? And
Right.
I'm sure it's not easy to talk about. So thank you for sharing that with myself and those who listen to this show, and um, appreciate it.
And thank you for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. It was awesome. Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
All right. We'll
Later,
see you.
brother.